What up YouTube, Spike right here with another video, and this time it's a rant, and this rant is going to be about YMS.org. Yeah, I know I'm gonna piss some people off with this rant, but you know what? Fuck it. This dude sucks. Now, I've picked on some YouTube critics before, like Chris Tuckman and Confused Matthew, but honestly, this guy's probably worse than both of them. He's definitely a worse person than both of them. So here's why YMS is so bad. He's one of these YouTube critics that is so cynically nitpicky. Almost all of his video reviews are of bad movies. I just find no value in that. Here's the thing. When you watch bad movie after bad movie, it really kills your passion for movies. You start to realize that the flaws that you see in bad movies also appear in good movies too. Now, I'm not saying that you should only review good movies all the time, because that is just as bad. I'm saying is, you should talk about both what you like and what you don't like. That is what I do. And there are plenty of other YouTube critics that do that, like Cody Leach. Sure, I often talk about movies that I like, but that doesn't mean I'm completely closed off from talking about movies that I don't like. In fact, I'll say this, the next video review that I might do is probably going to be of a bad one, or just one that's mediocre. In fact, I even also talk about movies that are just kind of okay or mediocre, because I value nuanced thinking. I mean, YMS has a few videos that are worth watching, like his Toy Story 3 review, or on his Unfretted, or even his Happy Feet video. But none of them make up for the disaster of a video that is his Space Jam: A New Legacy review. I want to preface this by saying I've not seen Space Jam: A New Legacy, so I'm not trying to defend this movie, but I don't need to see the movie to know that his review is fucking garbage. Beyond the fact that he does these cynical nitpicks which I have really gotten tired of over the years. The biggest problem I have with the video is that there's a whole section where he bitched and moaned over the fact that the filmmakers sexualized Lola Bunny. He said all the stupid shit that any prudish left-winger would say. I mean, he got angrier than I've ever heard him get, and it was all uncalled for. Okay, first of all, Lola Bunny from the start was meant to be a sexy character. In fact, the first film, she wears even more risque outfits. So, I don't know why the fuck you're getting so pissed in this movie. Second of all, really? That's your biggest criticism of the movie? If so, that is fucking pathetic. Okay, never use a nitpick as a major criticism, even if it is a valid nitpick. If you are going to nitpick, at least acknowledge that it's a nitpick. What you should really focus on is the elements that do matter, which are how emotionally satisfying the story is, if the characters in writing are good, and of course the production values to a lesser extent, or even if it was just entertaining, not like super minor details that are not important. Right. This review is even worse when you find out that this guy's a fucking furry. I'm not fucking joking. Great, so now he's being hypocritical. Because if there's anyone who shouldn't have a problem with Lola Bunny, it's him. Now, that's not the only reason why I don't like this guy. He has a few other opinions that are actually more concerning than anything. Like, he criticized people for being pissed at the treatment of Logan and Wolverine, and that people get way too attached to characters as if they're part of their identity. Yet, he bitched about how Scar in the 2019 Lion King remake was treated. Not only is that hypocritical, it made him come off as kind of a douchebag. It seems like he didn't even care that people were mad about it. Maybe he could have said something like, I guess I could compare people's outrage to Wolverine to how I feel about what they did to Scar. it would have shown that he is capable of empathy and would have made him look a hell of a lot better than what he actually did. What makes matters worse is that he just ignores the criticism that comes his way, yet he accuses other people of doing the same thing that he's doing. He also thinks that modern movies are not bad, only the Hollywood blockbusters are bad, and that only indie and foreign movies are good. That's right, this guy's a contrarian. Being a contrarian is one of the most annoying qualities anyone can have. I get not wanting to be a conformist, but being a contrarian just brings the same problems. You're just playing for a different team. He's also one of these fucking snobby types who's like, "Oh, this movie is not deep and challenging, it must be insulting my intelligence." Yeah, that's him, just without the British accent. Let me be clear, there's nothing wrong with indie or foreign movies. But there's also nothing wrong with fun and action-packed Hollywood blockbusters, either. There's not as many good Hollywood blockbusters nowadays, but there have been some really good Hollywood blockbusters in the past. But there have also been some indie and foreign films that have been pretentious garbage too. Popularity does not mean lack of quality, nor does obscurity mean that people don't know about it. Also, the fact that he criticized the EFAP team of being rude toward him in the live chat was a blatant fucking lie. If you watch the live stream, they were trying to reason with him, and they tried to refute his claims in a civil way. I mean, they obviously disagreed with him, but they still tried to reason with him, and they were civil about it. Again, this just made him come off as a douchebag. Him criticizing the EFAP team like that. But none of these opinions compare to, hands down, his most unsettling opinion. That is his opinion on zoophilia. He actually thinks that people shouldn't go to jail for zoophilia. He's really going that fucking far with being a contrarian. Also, the mental gymnastics he uses to defend his positions are so fucking insane, he seems to really believe this shit. There's nothing wrong with being a furry. There's also nothing wrong with being sexually attracted to anthropomorphic animals. But if you're going to defend people actually having sex with real animals, then we're gonna have to have a discussion. One of the arguments he has is that if the animal consented to the act, then the human should not go to jail. There's no way to tell if the animal consented to the act because the animal can't communicate like humans do. And it's just not natural for them to want to have sex with any other species other than their own. And if you have sex with an animal, that can be construed as animal abuse. Another one of his arguments is that humans kill other animals to eat, so why should they not have sex with other animals? The problem with that argument is that food and sex serve different purposes, and food is probably more important than sex. Also, it is natural for animals to kill other animals. It is not natural for animals to have sex with animals that are not part of their own species. Besides, if you really want to fuck a real animal, you need psychiatric help. Because I don't think there are any animals that are even sexually arousing. I'm going to address him by his real name, which is Adam. Adam, you're probably never going to watch this video, and honestly, I don't really give a shit. But if you're somehow watching this, do you really think this is a reasonable opinion to have? Look, I'm not going to tell you what opinions you should or shouldn't have, but I will say this. If you have an opinion that's hard to defend and justify, then it might be time to start questioning it. Also, villainizing the people that disagree with you is not going to make them change their opinion. It is probably just going to make them stick with their opinion even more and add fuel to their fire. I'm trying to tell you something, and if you don't listen, then I don't see it panning out in any good way for you. And I'm gonna have to say that you suck. You suck horse cock. And I wouldn't be surprised if you went to jail for actually doing that. Yeah. Yeah, I don't like this guy. I've lost all respect for him. Anyway, I'm Spike Robot. If you like this video, you can subscribe to my channel, and feel free to support me on Patreon and follow me on Instagram. If you support my Patreon, you can get exclusive updates on my next video. And if you follow me on Instagram, you can see all the pictures I took in Venice, Italy. So go check those out if you want. Take it easy. Honor the freedom, Jingos.